Nice. All right, let's go. The CDC, what does it stand for? Come, Dick, come? Maybe, but probably not. Whatever the case may be, there are quite a few people right now who have developed some spicy takes on COVID-19 and the CDC's coverage of the subject, essentially saying this. CDC, 6% of U.S. COVID-19 deaths list COVID-19 as only cause of death. The Center for Disease Control this week released a report that shows the type of health conditions and contributing causes mentioned in conjunction with deaths involving coronavirus disease. In the latest update, the CDC pointed out that only 6% of deaths related to COVID-19 listed COVID-19 as the only cause of death. Wowza! What the fuck does that mean? Does that mean that only 6% of the people who are listed to have died of COVID-19 actually died of, like, gunshots, but also happened to have COVID-19 at the time? Or they died of a heart attack, but they had COVID-19 at the time? No. It means nothing. Or nothing most of the people commenting on this are intelligent enough to understand at the very least. Holy shit. So, first of all, let's take a look at a chart of Americans and how many of them have other chronic conditions. Percent of U.S. adults 55 or over with chronic conditions. 1+ chronic condition, 78%. 2+ chronic conditions, 47%. 3+, 19%. See, the thing is, a chronic condition can mean, like, your blood pressure is a little high. It can mean, like, you have a susceptibility to a certain type of thing. You know, there's a lot of variance when it comes to what exactly constitutes a chronic condition. Asthma, yeah, asthma. That's a chronic condition, yeah. Diabetes, another big one. No, I don't think ADHD is a chronic condition. Yeah, I don't think obesity itself is, but there are many things associated with obesity that that get considered chronic conditions. Because obesity isn't really a chronic condition. You could just lose weight, but there are other things, you know. Chronic brainletism, very true. Yeah, Vosch derangement syndrome. That is true. ADHD is a terminal illness. Well, technically everything is. You all die eventually. Is being horny a chronic condition? Yes, fatally so. Anyway, let's focus, okay? Now, stop me if you've heard this before. People most at risk of dying of COVID-19 are older people or people with pre-existing conditions. Have you heard that before? Okay. Well, most older people have a pre-existing condition. 78%, apparently. And that's people 55 and over. But there are a lot of people who are under 55 who also have a chronic condition. I don't know if I have one. I don't think I do. Unless, like, the keloids count as something, which probably doesn't. I don't think so. But I imagine there are a lot of people who do at my age. Asthma being, like, probably the biggest one. The one of the types of diabetes you can be born with, which really sucks, but, like, that would be it as well. Some people just have, like, imbalances in their hormonal or their various internal systems. All of these things can count. And these are the people most at risk of dying of COVID-19. So obviously, the vast majority of people who die of COVID-19 are going to have one of these preconditions. Of course, it's a disease with a very high level of comorbidity with being older and having pre-existing conditions. So obviously, the people who die are going to largely be people who have pre-existing conditions. But there are people right now online who are saying that this evidence proves that the COVID-19 death statistics are massively overinflated, massively, by 94 percentage points higher than it needs to be. And that this is all a big deep state, big government lie by the CDC and the WHO in China to overinflate the threat of COVID-19, so you all die and the economy can stop, so the pedophiles can get less traffic on their way to work to do child sex trafficking or so. I don't know. I don't know. They're going in a lot of directions with it, okay? Listen the fuck up, okay? Saying nobody has died of COVID-19 except for that 6% would be like saying nobody has ever died from AIDS. AIDS is also a condition which has a very, 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 very much higher fatality rate if paired with other pre-existing conditions or illnesses. So technically, nobody who dies of AIDS would ever just be dying of AIDS. There's always something else too, but that doesn't mean it's not AIDS. Like, just because a dude who's 50 has fucking asthma doesn't mean that if they get COVID-19, it's not a COVID-19 death, you know? With the 94% not dying exclusively of COVID-19, that doesn't mean that, like, they have COVID-19 and they're doing okay, but then a doctor comes in and fucking gats them in the back of the head. It doesn't mean they're doing okay, and then somebody's like, and they toss a lit match onto their gasoline-soaked, hospital bed, and they burn in an inferno. That's not how it works. They're dying from COVID-19. Homophobes literally use this argument against AIDS. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it's like saying nobody dies of being old because there's some other thing that happened too, you know? Like, oh, he didn't die from a gunshot. There were other conditions present, you know? You do realize, like, a bunch of people who die via gunshot don't die exclusively via gunshot. There are other pre-existing conditions. But you wouldn't be like, they didn't die of a gun. I'd like to see that as a court defense, you know what I mean? Like, you walk into, like, a fat guy's house and you just fucking blow him away with a gun. And then you're like, Your Honor, listen, okay. There were many pre-existing conditions present here, including asthma, diabetes, and poor blood pressure, or very, very high blood pressure. The bullets were, at best, correlative with his death. We can't prove, like, he was going to die anyway. Like, yeah. Isn't this what the right is basically doing with George Floyd? Yeah, but they're not. I don't think that the right knows there's like an ideological parallel between the George Floyd thing and the COVID-19 thing, because they're very stupid. With George Floyd, they're doing it because they don't like black people. And with this, they're doing it because they don't like having to wear masks. But I don't think they're thinking in their heads like, we can exploit the pre-existing conditions to push a political agenda. So there is a synchronicity. I just don't think they know they're doing it. He was going to die anyway. Everyone is going to die anyway. What can you? How old of a person can you kill before that's a good excuse? You know, if they're 100, well, it's still murder. So apparently not. No, but they were going to die anyway. In fact, they were going to die quite soon. I don't know. Like, this is law, not morality. But even if a person is dying of cancer and you know they've got like an hour to live, you still can't strangle them to death. You don't get to do that. Actually. If you're involved, and it's on you. And COVID-19 is very involved in the deaths of nearly 200,000 people in this country. So yeah, good meme, good team.